Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see very important current affairs that appear in our today's Hindi newspaper, guys. So now let us see the important topics of the day. So first article, it is about Russia backs AMCA offers to make Su-57 jets in India. So this article is talking about Russia-India cooperation regarding defense equipment, and we are going to manufacture this Su-57 jets in India with help of Russia. So this article is very important from international relations, from GS paper 2, and not only that, this article is also very important from your GS paper 3 under science and technology as well. And next topic, it is about NAM should advance goals of Global South. So actually this article mainly talking about one important concept called as NAM. NAM is nothing but non-alignment moment. So here you have to see about history of this NAM, and as well as you have to see about what is our present minister said about this NAM. Whether they are redefining the definition of this NAM or not, we have to see that. And this topic is very important from your international relations, which comes under GS paper 2. And next topic is southwest monsoon gave 8% surplus rain, says IMD. So IMD is nothing but Indian Meteorological Department came up with the highlights of this year monsoon, and it said that in this southwest monsoon now we have 8% of surplus rainfall. And there is also one more article related to this monsoon. Actually there is end of the southwest monsoon and the starting of this northeast monsoon started. That is nothing but retreating monsoon started. So that is about this none too soon article. So these two are articles related to monsoon in India. And next topic is states must set up special prisons for fugitives, says our Home Minister. So here you have to know about what is this fugitives, and you have to know examples of fugitive offenders in our country, and you have to see why we are going to upgrade the special prisons for these fugitives, and these are very important. And these all are the topics of the day that we are going to discuss in this class. Okay, see this title, guys. First one, can you say this? Russia backs AMCA offers to make Su-57 jets in India. Okay, please make a note. So this article is talking about one keyword, that is AMCA is the first keyword, and second keyword of this article is India-Russia relations. And next one is we are going to manufacture Su-57 fifth generation fighter jets. So we have three keywords in this article, guys. First one is AMCA. AMCA is nothing but Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. Okay, do you know these aircrafts? Aircrafts are nothing but, they are like aeroplanes, but they are having certain special facilities. So they are nothing but military related aircrafts. So normally in aeroplanes, we have two types. First one is civilian aeroplanes and second one is military aeroplanes. So civilian purpose is nothing but we will be using it as one important modes of transportation, right? Normally the minimum capacity will be like 150, and based on the size of this aircraft, we have increased the number of seats. But for the military, we are having very less space, and it can carry only 2 to 4% like that. And we also have like big aircrafts in this military also, where they can carry more number of military persons. So here it is talking about medium combat aircraft, guys. Especially why we use these aircrafts in this military for traveling purpose, especially to reach this proper areas in the proper time. So we will be using aircrafts. And next one here is we are also having this fighter aircrafts. By using this aircrafts, we can go for patrolling across this airspace. Yes. And next one is to strike, to go for warheads or to go for dropping of warheads also, we can use this, right? So actually here this article is saying that now Russia is going to support India, especially to make this fighter jets. Okay, so there is one movie called as Mission Valentine. So in that, if you watch that movie, then you can understand different types of aircrafts we have and even jets we have, and how our Indian airspace will be secured by using that jets, and even they'll be showing about importance of radars and how we can use radars to intercept enemy jets, everything. So that if you have time, you can watch that movie. That movie is Mission Valentine. Operation Valentine. So what's that movie? It is a very good movie and it is in Telugu also. Okay, so actually here this article is saying that Russia now wants to support India for making of this Su-57 fifth generation fighter jets. Okay, that means we are going for production in our country itself. So it is very important for our Make in India project. It is important for Make in India project, and even nowadays we are talking about Atmanirbhar or self-reliance. It is also helpful in that self-reliance in this defense sector. And one more thing here is, if we are producing these jets in our country, we can also get the technology what can we use in this advanced aircrafts, so that technology we can use for our further equipments as well. And whenever we are having technology, whenever you are producing India, we can also boost our exports of defense to other countries as well. And not only that, whenever we are producing in India, we can also create employment opportunities in our countries. Okay, so these will be the advantages of this kind of defense agreement between India and Russia, guys. Okay, and actually one more important point that you have to see is, because of oil imports from this Russia, are we having any problem? Because of this oil imports only, US is imposing 50% of tariffs on our Indian goods. Yes or no? What is that name of act? That act is called as Russia Sanction Act of 2025. Under this, here Russia is imposing 50% of tariff, right? So just for oil imports only, now US is imposing 50% of tariff. Then what if you are coming up with this kind of defense agreements? Will US be silent? So actually one important issue that we have is, we are going to get more sanctions from this US. That is one important issue that India is having, to go with this agreement between India and Russia regarding this preparation or like making of fighter jets. Okay, so these all are the things that you have to see, guys. Now let us see the context. So this article is saying that Russia has officially offered India a proposal to co-produce. That means Russia will be helping India to produce 5th generation Sukhoi Su-57 stealth fighters in India. Okay, and it is important for India's project, that is to develop advanced medium combat aircrafts project. So actually why we need this aircrafts? Do we need this air jets or fighter jets? Especially what is happening here is, India is not having the safe borders across India-Pakistan border and even India-China border. So actually there are some reports which are saying that there is increased defense production, increased equipments in this China. So that means obviously that equipments will be used against enemy countries like India only. So we have to be prepared. So for that, government is focusing on coming up with this kind of projects where we are going for enhancing of our equipment, enhancing of our technology regarding defense. So because of this, of course, this proposal is very important for India to counter China and to improve border security as well. Okay, so this proposal came at a first time when India faces fighter aircraft, air jets shortfall. Already we are having shortfall. Just we have 31 active squadrons only. But what is happening, China is accelerating its jets production. So to counter that, of course, we need to focus on more production of jets in our country. That is the first reason. And next one here is, Russia is also providing a dual offer. The first one here is, they are going for sanctions isolation also. That means Russia can help in India regarding this coming out of sanctions of this USA, and even this will be helpful for long-standing defense partnership with India as well. Okay, so those are the 2 points that you have to see. And what is the impact here? So if you're finalizing this agreement, and if you're starting producing this kind of jets in our country, obviously we can focus on strategic autonomy. Especially we can decrease our reliance on other countries' imports. Regarding defense, we are getting equipments from different countries, right? We are getting from Israel, we are getting from France, we are getting from US. So here we can decrease our reliance on this Western countries or European countries. And next one is we can boost our indigenous production so that we can create jobs in this manufacturing sector, in this aerospace especially. And we can also improve our radar technologies because we are going to get advanced technology from this Russia to produce that now. And here we are having certain global implications, that is nothing but this partnership might frustrate US and it may also increase sanctions on our country. So this is one important issue that we are having. And even there are certain risks, like we can also over depend on this Russia for this defense. This is also one important problem. And as you all know that Russia Ukraine is in war, that war has not been ended. And if you are finalizing this kind of equipments, can we expect this defense delivery on time? Already we know that S-400 is very much delayed, and if you are coming up with this kind of another agreement with this country, again there is a chance of delaying of equipment. So these are the some challenges, these are some advantages, and why we need to have this equipment now and why we have to go for finalizing of this equipment. So think on this guys, whether we can go for this or whether we can delay this, or think on your perspective, like what will be the advantages and negatives, everything that you have to think from your own idea. And say this article, second article, title says NAM should advance goals of Global South, says Kirti Vardhan Singh. So actually this Kirti Vardhan Singh is State Minister of State for External Affairs case. He is Minister of State for External Affairs. Now he made a statement regarding NAM. So what he said, NAM should advance goals of Global South. So what are the 2 keywords that you can see in this article? Online students, tell me in the comment box. Come on. What are the 2 keywords? First one is NAM. NAM is nothing but non-alignment movement. And second one is Global South. First one is NAM. Second one is Global South. Okay, what is this NAM? In 1945, what happened? End of World War II, right? So after that, during 1960s, the world is in era of Cold War. Cold War is nothing but issues are going on, but there is no direct proxy war. Indirect wars are going on between the countries. So that period was called as Cold War. So at that time, 2 countries, 2 power blocks were formed and led by 2 important countries. So first one is USA on another side, next one is Soviet, that is USSR on another side. At that time, these 2 countries, they asked different countries like whether you will be aligned with USA or will you align with USSR. So as you all know that in 1947 we got independence. As soon as we got independence, we have lots of challenges in our country. What are those challenges we have at that time? We have very high rates of poverty, very high rates of mortality rate, no proper health care, there is high rates of malnutrition, and there is no development of agriculture. At that time, we also had experienced famines. Yes, there is no industrial development. And what are the indicators are there? They are very, very low. At that time, our government said that, government of India at that time said that, already we are having lots of challenges. We don't want to align with USA or we don't want to align with USSR. And they came up with this concept called as NAM, non-alignment movement. We don't want to align with USA or align with USSR. We want to be stable and we want to fight against our challenges first. Everything is next to us. At that time, not only India, especially developing nations and least developed nations came up with this concept called as NAM. And NAM ministerial meeting will be going on, and recently it is going on especially in one place. I'll tell you that place. and it is on 15th and 16th of October, guys. And now our Minister of State External Affairs, he attended this meeting, and now we are redefining this definition of NAM. Okay, so this is very important, and you can expect a mains based question this year regarding this definition of NAM and what is the relevance of NAM in this 2025. So you may also get questions in that way, guys, and you have to be prepared. Okay, now let us see here what exactly happened. Our Union Minister of State for External Affairs, Minister, he is leading India's delegation at this 19th midterm ministerial meeting. So actually he attended this 19th ministerial meet of this non-aligned movement in Uganda. Now it is going on in Uganda on this October 15th and October 16th. And in that meet, our minister urged NAM members to advance goal and legitimate aspirations of Global South through reformed multilateralism and equitable global governance. So what is this non-alignment movement? We don't want to align with USA or USSR. But now our External Affairs Minister, he is saying that, sorry, Minister of State for External Affairs Minister is saying that, yes, all these least developed and as well as developing countries, they are form of this Global South. Yes or no? Global South is the concept where this developing countries and least developed countries, they came forward with a common objective, right? So actually this statement which is made by our minister, he says that yes, this NAM, especially countries of this NAM, to achieve these aims and objectives of this Global South, now we need to focus on multilateralism. Did we discuss about this multilateralism? What is multilateralism? That is nothing but groupings. So now we have to focus on reforming of multilateral organizations, then only we can achieve global governance. That means nothing but they are saying that we have to go for reforming of our multilateral organizations. Which are those multilateral organizations? Examples, we have United Nations, we have United Nations Security Council, we have WTO, we have WHO. So like that, whatever the multilateral organizations are there, we have to go for making of reforms. So recently our Union Home Minister also made that statement, right? We have to reform this multilateral organizations. Again, the same thing said by our Minister of State for External Affairs, that we have to reform our multilateral organizations. Why we have to reform this? Because we have to achieve the aims and objectives of this Global South. Now tell me guys, what are the challenges faced by this Global South? Now tell me, what are the challenges faced by this Global South? We have terrorism, yes or no? We have piracy issues. Next, we have lack of technology and infrastructure. Even education literacy levels are low. Health is also bad. So here, if you want to achieve all those aims and objectives of these developing countries, and why these problems are intensifying day by day? Because of this climate change, yes or no? So if you want to fight against climate change, if India is alone taking steps, is that enough? If Uganda is alone taking steps, is that enough? No, right? So every country, they have to take the steps. So how can we propose the changes? By using this multilateral platforms. That is the thing which mainly said. If you want to achieve these aspirations of this Global South, if you want to solve the challenges of this Global South, we need to go for reforming of multilateral organization. Then only we can achieve this global governance. So this is a statement which mainly made by our minister. So if you see certain details, so speaking to this ministerial meet, and the theme of this year ministerial meet is deepening cooperation for shared global affluences. Our minister, he emphasized that NAM must adapt volatile geopolitical climate, because we are having certain challenges like climate change, debt distress, terrorism and technology divides. So here, if you want to achieve all those, if you want to solve those challenges, obviously we need to have this multilateral organizations. And our minister also said that NAM has to play a renewed role by fostering fair trade. So we have to bring some changes in the NAM so that we can ensure free trade, resilient supply chains, technological inclusivity, and as well as climate justice. Okay, so those are the things which mainly said. And he also highlighted that India is playing a very important role in multilateral organizations. For example, ISA. What is ISA? International Solar Alliance. So these are the groupings of these tropical countries where they have a potential of harnessing of solar energy. Okay, so India is leading in that International Solar Alliance. And even we have Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, because most of these developing and least developed countries are mainly susceptible or vulnerable to these disasters. So to come out of that, to mitigate that, to prevent that disasters, we have a coalition called as Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. And also we have Global Biofuel Alliances. So these groupings where India is involved, which is focusing on fighting against this climate change, and as well as we are focusing on developmental diplomacy. We are focusing on especially development in this group of countries, guys. So what is non-alignment movement? It is an alliance of developing nations, and these nations refuses to identify with any major superpower. They don't want to align this USA or USSR during this 1960s. And actually this NAM started with this Bandung conference held in Indonesia in 1955. It is very important. Write down, guys. So actually last year there was a question regarding the same kind, like so and so organization formed based on this conference. So you have to know that NAM was started with this Bandung conference in Indonesia in year 1955. And if you see current members in this NAM, there are 120 countries are the members of this NAM. And from this 53 countries are from Africa, 39 are from Asia, 26 from Latin America and Caribbean countries, and even 2 countries from Europe, guys. And even non-United Nations member state of Palestine is also a member. And remember one thing, after United Nations, this NAM is the very biggest organization in the world. Okay, very important point. And actually this NAM does not have any permanent secretariat or any formal founding charter or act or treaty. So what is the impact of the statement given by our Minister of State for External Affairs? What is the impact? The first one here is, now we can clearly understand that our government wants to redefine this definition of NAM. Okay, NAM is nothing but non-alignment movement. Now they want to proactively engage in this multilateral groupings. That is the thing which we can see clearly. For what? For decreasing of economic disparity and to fight against digital exclusion and as well as climate inequity. And even we can understand that India is also focusing on especially strengthening of leadership within the global south along with African, Latin American and Asian partners. We can also see that. And next one is we are also focusing on fair and inclusive multilateralism, which is very helpful for global governance system. And we are also focusing on climate and technology, guys, because these are the problems that are mainly faced by this developing and least developed countries. Clear? And see this article, guys, very important article of the day. States must set up special prisons for fugitives, says Shaw. So what are the keywords here? First one is fugitives. Have you heard about this Nirav Modi, Vijay Mallya? So who are they? Very important personalities. So why do you know those persons? What did they do? What they did? Okay, they took loan from the Indian banks and without paying, they fled to other countries. Are we able to bring them back? Our government is trying a lot to bring them back, but there are some issues. Because of this, we are not bringing them back. So what are the issues that we are facing? Just guess and tell me why we can't bring them back. Okay, I'll tell this concept. The first one is fugitive. Fugitive is nothing but the person who is taking loans in our country without repaying, they are going to other country. They are flooding to other country. That is called as fugitive economic offender. That person is called as fugitive economic offender. For example, you know about this Nirav Modi and as well as Vijay Mallya. Vijay Mallya, you know, at least you don't know about this Nirav Modi, but you know about this Vijay Mallya, right? Okay, Kingfisher. So here, you have to know about one important word, that is extradition. Extradition is nothing but they took loans in India and they didn't pay loans and they went to other country. And actually our government of India will try a lot to bring back that person. So this process is called as extradition. Extradition is nothing but whenever our government of India tries to bring that person back to India. Why we have to bring that person? He did offense in our country and whatever the laws which are present in our country should be applicable on that person. We have to punish him according to them, right? So if he is in other countries, can we impose our laws in other country? Is that possible? For sure it will not possible, right? So because of this we have to bring them back and then we have to apply our Indian laws and we have to punish them based on our Indian laws. So that process is called as extradition. So why we are not able to bringing them back? What are the reasons you are saying? Tell me guys. Punishment is harsh in our country compared to the other countries. Yes, and because of this harsh punishment, what happens? Human rights violation can happen. Yes or no? So they are citing some reasons like human rights violation, and even they are also saying that there is overcrowding in the prisons. Yes or no? So normally in our prisons we have overcrowding. That is nothing but whatever the capacity of the jails are there. So we are keeping more number of prisons than their capacity in our country. That is leading to this overcrowding of prisons. And they are also saying one reason that prisons are not good. They are not maintaining international standards. So because of that we don't want to go to India. So these are the two simple reasons they are saying. The first one is human rights violation and each one is the prisons are not according to international standards. So because of this we don't want to go to India. Okay, so that is a major problem that we are facing, to bring this fugitive economic offenders back to India through this extradition process. Clear? So because of this, what our government said is, no, we have to update our prisons and we have to specially design this special prisons only for these fugitive offenders. Then only we can bring them back and we can have this successful extradition process and we can punish them and we can recover this loans. That is the thing which mainly said by Home Minister. And let us see this article in detail. And this topic is very important from your economy point of view, which comes under GS paper 3 guys. So what do you think? Do we need this kind of things? What is your idea? Online students, tell me, do we need to establish this special kinds of jails only for this economic offenders according to international standards? What do you think so? Okay, see here, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has urged all states and union territories to set up special prisons to build under this international standards exclusively for these fugitives, particularly those who are facing this extradition. Special prisons for only fugitives, that too with international standards. Now, here our Union Home Minister ordered to set up in all states and as well as union territories guys. Okay, so this proposal aligns with India's larger agenda of building a robust extradition and criminal justice infrastructure under reformed criminal laws regime. So till 2023 we focused on IPC, CRPC, Indian Evidence Act of Britishers time. So recently we came up with this BNS, BNSS, yes or no? So that means we came up with reforms in our criminal justice system in our country. So according to them we have to focus on extradition. So if we are not going for proper extradition, it is a huge loss for our government guys. Yes or no? So entire bank system will be failed if we are not bringing them back. So it is very, very important. So what is a fugitive economic offender? Nothing but an individual whom a warrant of arrest in relation to scheduled offence has been issued by any court in India who has left country so to avoid criminal prosecution. He did some crime in our country to avoid this prosecution, to avoid this punishment, he will be leaving our country and he will be residing in other country. And it will become very difficult for us to bring him back. That person is called as economic offender or fugitive economic offender. So what are the details of this article? So our Home Minister is saying that there are several economic offenders. You know this Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi have successfully delayed or blocked their extradition. And how they blocked their extradition is by saying two simple things. First one is jails are not having good standard. They are not according to international standards. That's the first reason. And second one is human rights violations will be there in this Indian jails. So because of this, we don't want to go to India. That is a simple reason they gave. And next one here is to counter this, our Home Minister, he directed each state now to create a special prison facility with international human rights compliance. And he also said that we have to take some more complementary measures. So first one here is we have to revoke fugitives' passports once an Interpol red notice is issued. So do you know Interpol will be releasing different kinds of notices: silver notice, black notice, blue notice, orange notice, red notice. So red notice is like mostly wanted person. So if they are releasing that notice, it is called as a wanted person. So as soon as if Interpol releases this red notice, we have to revoke this passports of this person. And this one is we have to create a national database of fugitives accessible for all enforcement agencies. In our country, we have to come up with the database, national database. So it should be open for all law enforcement agencies so that they can get the clear-cut data of that person, so that there will be no delaying of charging of a case. And these measures are mainly focusing on ensuring of time-bound extradition of these offenders who are accused for terrorism or economic crimes or even criminal or cyber offences. So what is the significance of this move? The first one here is India has around 330 pending extradition cases. 330 is not a small issue actually. So if you want to go for bringing them all back, we need to have this kind of changes. And this one is we can also showcase in international, like different countries, like we are also maintaining international standard related prisons. You can send our Indian offenders back to India. And this one is we can ensure rule of law and deterrence. We can provide proper humane treatment and we can focus on legal credibility internationally as well. And this one is it will be also helpful for cooperative federalism in security. So these are the advantages of this move of our government. Okay, now let us see the next article. See this title, guys. Southwest monsoon gave 8% surplus rain, says IMD. So to understand this, you have to know how this monsoons form. So I'll draw a diagram and I'll make you to understand what happens. Okay. So normally what happens? So let us draw the globe. So this is equator 0 degrees. Tropic of, what is this? Cancer. This is Tropic of Capricorn. This is Antarctic Circle. This is Arctic Circle. 90 degrees north, that is North Pole. 90 degrees south. Okay. So here we have sun. So from sun what we'll get? Insolation, sunlight. So normally sunlight is directly falls on this tropical region. So here we have what happens? Heavy temperature, right? So normally at this equator we will be having more sunlight, more heat. So more heat, what happens? Low pressure area will be formed. Yes. And comparatively, if you are comparing with this 0 degrees and Tropic of Capricorn, here we have high pressure. And we have alternative pressure belts across this world. Again we have low pressure here. Again here we have very low temperature. Because of this, here we have high pressure. So these are the 7 pressure belts that will be present normally in our Earth or in our planet, 7 pressure belts alternatively. What happens is during summer season, rather than equator, Tropic of Cancer will be having more temperature because of shifting of ITCZ. So here to understand this ITCZ, again I have to draw one more diagram. This is 0 degree equator, this is Tropic of Cancer, this is Tropic of Capricorn, right? So as I said, normally there will be low pressure here at equator, high pressure at this Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So what happens? Why this low pressure is formed? What is the meaning of low pressure? There will be less air in that region which will be exerting pressure on Earth's surface. So how it happens means, so this is Earth, this is Earth's surface, here we have sun, from sun we will be getting radiation. So because of this, what happened? The land will be getting heated, yes or no? Not only land, the air which is present here will be getting heated. So what happens? Air if get heated, it will become very light. It will not present at this surface. Now this air will move upside. Okay, now whenever air becomes light, it will move upside. So because of this, whatever the air which is present here is less amount of air. So whenever there is less amount of air, the air which is exerting pressure on this Earth's surface will be also less. That pressure is called as low pressure. Then what is high pressure? Especially during night time or winter time, do we get enough sunlight? So sunlight will be less and even the heat will be less. So we will be having low temperature. So whenever temperature is low, what happens? Air and surface will be very cool. Especially during this winter time, in the mornings you can experience, you can't keep your feet on the ground because of very low temperature, right? So temperature will be low. So because of this temperature will be low, the air which is present here will be also very cool. So cool air is very dense. The weight of this cool air is very high. So that what happened? Now we can see more air which is present at this ground level. More air. Now this more air will be exerting more pressure on this Earth's surface. So here we have high pressure. So low pressure will be seen whenever there is high temperature and high pressure is seen whenever we have low temperature. Is that clear? So here low temperature means nothing but we are having less air. So if there is any less air, what happens? It can create vacuum. Do you know less air will create vacuum? So this vacuum will be occupied by the air which is present in this high pressure. Now what happens? Always air from this high pressure will try to move towards low pressure and it will try to occupy that space. Okay. So this principle is called as pressure gradient force. According to this pressure gradient force, always wind or air moves from high pressure to low pressure to occupy that. Okay, here we have high pressure, and here we have low pressure. So because of this, what happened? Air from this region to move towards this region from both the sides. Yes, from both the sides, air from high pressure will try to occupy this low pressure. But here we have to add one more concept called as Coriolis force. So actually you know that Earth is not static. It will be rotating on its own axis, yes or no? If you see the movements of Earth in our solar system, we have rotation and we have revolution. Rotation is nothing but moving around itself. Revolution is moving around the sun. Yes or no? Because of this rotation only, we are getting days and as well as nights. Yes or no? So because of that, it will create Coriolis force. Coriolis force is nothing but, you can take a ball and if you rotate that ball on your hand, if you pour water, will it go in a right side direction? No, based on the movement, the direction of this water that you are pouring will be changed, right? So because of this Coriolis force, so this is called as northern hemisphere, yes or no? This part, lower part is called as southern hemisphere. So deflection of winds happens towards right direction in the northern hemisphere deflection of winds happens in this left side in this southern hemisphere. So now what will be the movement of this winds? In northern hemisphere it is right side, in southern hemisphere it is left side. Clear? So wherever these winds are meeting at this equator, that is called as intertropical convergence zone. So there is converging of winds and this zone is called as intertropical convergence zone. Okay. And now let us see the next phenomena. So this is our sun. Around the sun, what happens? Our earth will be moving. So how many days it will take for our earth to complete one revolution? 365 quarter days. Yes or no? For every 4 years, we'll add that quarter and we'll have leap year, that is 366 days. Which month is having one extra day? February. Clear? Okay. So whenever earth is moving in this direction, so earth is having a tilt, 22.5 degrees tilt. Yes or no? Yes, right? So if earth is located in these two positions, it will be receiving equal sunlight, especially. That conditions is called as equinox. So here what happens? If you see here, especially this is north. North will be receiving more sunlight. North hemisphere will be receiving more sunlight here. Here if you see, south will be receiving more sunlight. Okay. So this is called as summer solstice and this is called as winter solstice. Why? Because if earth is in this position, northern hemisphere is having summer, so it is called as summer solstice. In this position, northern hemisphere will be having winter, then it is called as winter solstice. So what happens now is, here this northern hemisphere will be receiving more sunlight now. Yes or no? So because of this, here in these two situations we have ITCZ, that is intertropical convergence zone, will be at equator in these two positions. But here this ITCZ will be moving towards Tropic of Cancer here, and in this situation here ITCZ will move, that is at Tropic of Capricorn. Okay. So because of this shifting of ITCZ, that will create rainy season in India. Clear? So now let us see that once again. So I am drawing all these three. So this is at equinox. This is at summer solstice. This is at winter solstice. So I am changing the color of pen. So here in this equinox position, ITCZ will be there at this equator only. But what happens in the summer solstice? Northern hemisphere will be getting summer. This ITCZ will be shifting towards Tropic of Cancer. And in this winter solstice, this southern part will be receiving more sunlight. So now this ITCZ will be moving towards this Tropic of Capricorn. Okay. So wherever we have this ITCZ, that is called as low pressure. Yes. So we have this low pressure. Now what happens here is, normally in this okay, so here if you see this pressure belts, so in this way what happens, there is shifting of ITCZ happens. So especially what happens during this monsoon season is, ITCZ will be there exactly on this Tropic of Cancer. That is nothing but low pressure area is formed over India especially. And here we have 0 degrees equator. Yes or no? So what happens here is, now winds, they will move from equator towards India now. So actually we are in northern hemisphere, right? So if you apply this Coriolis force, in northern hemisphere, winds will move in the right direction. So what happens? Winds will be moving in this direction. So what happens here? Here we have which sea? we have Arabian Sea here, and we have Bay of Bengal Sea here. So water in this region will also get evaporated, and along with that hot air, this moisture, this water vapor will be also carried out. And here we have what? Western Ghats. And whenever this moist laden winds they are hitting this Western Ghats, in this region they can cause heavy rainfall. And this movement will happens in this way, movement of this winds. And here we have what? Here we have Himalayas, and here we have Purvanchal. So the Bay of Bengal branch, what happens is, here they will hit this Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and they will divert it towards this northeastern part, and here we have hilly regions, especially we have Garo, Jaintia and Khasi hills in this way. So here they will hit one across the other, and it will cause very heavy rainfall in this Cherrapunji region. And again they will move in this way, and this Arabian Sea branch and this Bay of Bengal branch will meet in this northwards. So whenever the winds are moving from here to here, the rainfall intensity also decreases, because already whatever the moisture it is carrying here, it is causing heavy rainfall in the south, and while moving them outside, then what happen? Obviously the rainfall decreases. Okay, so this is the mechanism of this southwest monsoons. Okay, now what happens in this winter season? Now this IT season will move towards where? If you see, same India now. This is equator and this is Tropic of Capricorn. Now what happens? IT season will be moving towards this Tropic of Capricorn in our winter season. So now when this winter season will be started? October, November, December, January, at that time, right? So here what happens now? At this Tropic of Cancer we have high pressure, and now we have low pressure. So the winds from here, they will be coming back in this way. This coming back of winds will causes rainfalls, especially in this Tamil Nadu region. Why? Because whenever they are coming back, they will bring certain moisture from this Bay of Bengal, and they will cause rainfall in this region. So this kind of coming back or reversal of winds causes retreating monsoon, especially in the month of October and November also will get certain rainfall, very small spills. No, that rainfall is called as retreating monsoon. Why? Because of whatever the monsoon winds went back, they will come back. Okay, so this is the monsoon season, guys. So in monsoon we have southwest monsoons and northeast monsoons. So northeast monsoon are called as retreating monsoons. So now if you go back to this article, it is saying that the southeast monsoon gave good rainfall for India, and we got around 8% of high rainfall in our country. Okay, and if you see the next article, it said that none too soon, timely arrival of northeast monsoon bodes well for farmers, especially this northeast monsoon or this winter rainfall is very important for sowing of crops in this Rabi crops. Do you know this Kharif crops and Rabi crops? So for this Rabi crops, this winter rainfall is very important, especially for the growing of wheat. So in which region of India we are growing this wheat? In Punjab and Haryana regions. Okay, so especially this article is saying that this year we have right northwest monsoon started in India. Okay, so this is very helpful for this farmers in our country. That is the thing which mainly said, guys. So if you see about this northeast monsoon, it is also known as retreating monsoon. Especially we can see in this month of October to December, guys. Especially normally you know that monsoon which brings rainfall in our country, which is very important for the rain-fed agriculture in our country, that is nothing but southwest monsoon are very important. Now what happens? These winds, they will come back in the reverse direction, and now it will cause rainfall in certain regions of Tamil Nadu, guys. Tamil Nadu and as well as in northern part, it will cause rainfall. That is very helpful for this Rabi crops. Okay, and this northeast monsoon is very crucial for replenishing of water supplies in the regions with less rain during the southwest monsoon. Especially if you see this diagram, as I said, So whenever monsoon is progressing like that, here we will get rainfall and here we will get less rainfall. But what happens in this northeast and here is winds will move like in this way. So in this way, here we can get the rainfall and even here we get the rainfall. So wherever the rainfall it is not happened in the southwest monsoon, this northeast monsoon will causes rainfall in that region. So in that region we'll go for especially rabi crops or like wheat growing in that region. Okay, so what happens during this month of October and November? Sun movement towards south shifts. So because of this low pressure system happens in the south, that is nothing but IT season movement which happens towards south. Because of this, whatever the winds which are there in our India, that will become weak and they will move back to the southwards. Okay, so that is the thing guys, nothing more than that. So here you can see. So can you say this IT season? So during summer season, the IT season will be there here like this, low pressure area. But what happens during winter season? IT season will be moving towards downwards. So because of this now, reversal movement of winds happen. Whenever movement of winds are happening in this area, so especially this Tamil Nadu, western coast of our country will be getting rainfall and here also north part also they will be getting rainfall. Okay, so that is a phenomena guys. Have you understood? So this is very important topic in your geography, especially in Indian geography guys. So these are the important topics that appeared in our today's Hindi newspaper. By this I am concluding. Thank you so much guys for watching and please do like this class and share this class. And I want to make a small announcement. We are going to start new GS Flinscom Mains Foundation course on this 25th of October guys. And if you want to take admission either online or offline and if you have any queries regarding that course, you can directly contact us on this number 8074765513 or else you can directly visit our academy which is in Ashok Nagar exactly above Vikas Book Center, 2nd and 3rd floor guys. And you can also follow us on our Telegram channel and as well as Instagram. The links of that Telegram and Instagram are given in description box. Don't miss it guys. Thank you so much.